Welcome back to Tuesday night, league night here at the Forge. Our players are off and rolling and ready to go here. We have John versus Mike here for round one tonight. John on the left side of the field is going to be playing Lugia, but a little bit different version of the deck. It's more of a mill/control Lugia, utilizing that Wugtrio and Whiscash from, I believe it's from Obsidian Flames, or is it from Silver Tempest? One of those.
Yeah, one of the early.
I can't remember, but it's definitely a very strong mill card. And then Mike on the opposite side, I believe, is piloting Sablezard version of Lost Box. So it looks like our players are getting going here. It looks like they've started, but I'm not sure if they've set out their prize cards. Max, do you want to go check on that and have them slide their prize cards over to the prize cam here? But we'll keep things going. It looks like Mike is starting off first with a Battle VIP pass, Comfy in the active, which is a great start. Oh, there we go. Coming in? Oh, it's not.
Yeah, the camera
Looks like the prize.
Yeah, it was a camera thing.
Sorry about that.
Are we good?
So Lost Box has the goal that it wants to see a lot of cards. It wants to dig through its deck. And so this mill deck kind of, the Lost Box player has a tough decisions to make. Like, do they go and try to see the extra cards to try to make big plays happen, or do they play more conservatively, try to make sure that they don't burn through their deck so the mill player can, take those last few discards and win the game?
Yeah, absolutely. So the interesting thing, though, is if you're Mike on the side of the field, you see a Lugia V down, you're not going to be expecting control or mill. You're going to be expecting Lugia, which is a deck that you have to set up really fast against, because they're going to get going here on turn 2. They're going to be able to one-shot all of your attackers on every turn, and sometimes use that Kragalanche from Tyranitar to start discarding your cards even more. And so you think, I got to get going here fast and start being able to get these one-shot or these Sableyes going to take out their Archeops and that sort of thing and move damage around the board. You're not thinking, oh, they're going to break out a Wugtrio and start milling me. So some difficult decisions, like you said, on the Lost Box of the field, but they might not even know right now that they're in a position to have these difficult decisions in front of them. Now, if this was a normal game too, Mike would be in a tough position. Having that Radiant Charizard prize, that's one of your main attackers in the late game. It looks like it's in the center part of those prize cards, though, probably the third or fourth prize card that he'll take, and I'm sure he also probably plays a heavy ball to get it out of those prize cards.
And it looks like Mike playing some kind of interesting cards that, maybe we're starting to see a little more, but haven't so much in the past. In Lost Box, he's playing that Milotic that allows his hand to be protected from disruption effects. He's also playing is that the Pokemon Go Articuno? Yeah, that makes his Cram do 10 more. Kind of interesting. It's a good tech into Guardy. Lets you one-shot a Cresselia.
Yeah, and relevant into a normal Lugia matchup where you would be able to two-shot the Tyranitar with the Cram, but not this Lugia
This
deck.
is not a normal matchup.
Yeah. Over on John's side of the field, though, we see 2 energy cards prized, 2 nest balls, which could make it difficult for him to set up his basic Pokemon that he needs to evolve, and then a Barboach and a Wugtrio as well at the bottom of the prize cards there.
So on the Lost Box side, seems like a pretty good setup. Got his bench filled. He's at three in the Lost Zone so far. Pretty much what you want to see.
I think I see a Colress in that hand too, so on the next turn he'll be able to build that Lost Zone even more.
He's going to pass it over to the Lugia player. And right away, the Wiglet comes down. So the cat is out of the bag.
Yeah, you have to be thinking, what have I done on my last turn? I was just turboing through my deck. And now we see that Wiglet come down, and the Messagoza heads means John can search his deck for any Pokemon that he wants.
So I'm curious to see, do we know if John is playing the T-Tar for like the early game, Miller? Does he just
Nah,
It looks like he wants to go
it's
just straight into the
it's
mill.
just straight mill, yeah. So I mean, I guess he could be attacking with Lugia's if he wants, because he does have those double turbo energies in there and some jet energies. It looks like, but it really is all about the mill.
I suppose he doesn't want to go ahead on prizes and turn off the reversal energy.
Yeah, yeah. So I didn't get a good look at the rest of John's hand, but I would assume he's probably looking for an Archeops off of this Mesagoza to start discarding them, but it depends on what's in the rest of his hand. It looks like
He's going to get down a second with
yeah,
it.
just getting another Wiglet. Lugia V-Star in hand. Professor Burnett is in hand for next turn, so he doesn't have to, or for this turn, it's his first turn going second, so he can just Professor Burnett here, look through his deck and search for 2 cards and put them in his discard pile, and I have to imagine those 2 cards are going to be Archeops.
I think that's a pretty safe bet. He gets the Archeops into the discard. He is all set up to Summoning Star for next turn if he's got the V-Star in hand.
Yeah, and then the question is, can he start milling right away? On that second turn, that Wugtrio will, I believe, flip 3 coins, and for each heads, discard the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. And I believe the Whiscash discards the top card of your opponent's deck for as many fighting energies on it. And if John can get 4 reversal energies on that Whiscash, he can discard the top 12 cards of Mike's deck as soon as he gets that Whiscash into play.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. And so I guess you kind of have you only have so many reversal energies to work with. So you kind of have to balance how many. I mean, I would think that he'd want to probably try to attack with 2 of the Wugtrios and maybe try to finish off the last couple cards in the deck with a Whiscash, but we'll have to see what he goes for.
Well, the question against the Sablezard variant of this deck is how much HP does the Whiscash have? Is there a chance that Mike has no way to one-shot that Whiscash, and that John could do that twice for 24 in 2 turns? But we'll have to see. Mike going for that Mesagoza flip, and he flips the heads. Going to be able to search through his deck for any Pokemon he wants, and
I have to imagine that'll be the Milotic.
yeah, if that's about the only Pokemon he can do anything with right now, as his bench is full. But good sequencing here by Mike, using that Mesagoza before going in for the Colress. Why not tutor out another card before you go for the Colress, just so that you don't hit that extra card. John reading that Milotic. All that Milotic says is it has an ability that says ignore the effects of your opponent's supporter cards done to your hand. So they can't discard cards out of your hand, they can't shuffle your hand back into your deck, they can't shuffle your hand to the bottom of your deck, those sorts of things.
And that's, I think, gonna be pretty impactful in this matchup, as I definitely saw John playing a handful of Ionos in his list.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now you're Mike, and you've just seen your opponent play down 2 Wiglets. What's your plan here?
Well, I'm wishing that I didn't bench lock myself, because I need to get to Sableye fast. But definitely looking for a rope play here into that Cramorant. That will... Oh, we're seeing a Pokegear here, sorry. Pokegear finding that Colress. But yeah, definitely looking for a rope on this turn so that I can Cramorant into one of those Wiglets, and then, even if he's able to evolve one on the next turn, Wugtrio only has 90 HP, so Cramorant can continue to take those KOs. The thing I'm worried about for Mike is he doesn't know about the Whiscash, and I'm not sure how much HP Whiscash has, but I'm thinking it might not be good for Mike.
See, now I'm on a differing opinion, is that Mike should definitely not go for a rope play this turn, and I think that the damage would be much better spent hitting the Lugia here. If he doesn't take a prize, then John has no good way to start discarding any cards.
Well, that's true. I guess the Wugtrio does take 3 energy to power up. And if you don't go after this Lugia, then John can just turn this into a game where he takes 6 prizes instead of worrying about milling. But my thing was, you can worry about the Lugia a little bit later because you have the Radiant Charizard to one-shot it later in the game. Or if not necessarily one-shot it, but you can set up some damage on it with Sableye. But you know that Lugia is not a deck that draws a ton of cards, so if you can take out those basic Pokemon early, there's probably not a lot of good ways for John to get them back.
Yeah, makes sense. I think, though, if he does, put some damage on the Lugia here, that kind of forces John to take a knockout.
Yeah.
And then, could free up a bench space for Mike to start Sableyeing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So far, he is at 6 in the Lost Zone. Going to go to 7 here with this flower selecting.
Means that any Mirage Gates that Mike might play are going to be live after this turn. Sablezard doesn't tend to play Mirage Gates, but sometimes 1 or 2 can slip into the deck here and there to power up that Charizard a little bit more before your opponent is down to 2 prizes. But really what Mike's looking to get to is that 10 in the Lost Zone so that his Sableye is active if he ever frees up a bench space to use it.
Mike taking the Colress over the Escape Rope on that last one, valuing making sure he's got a supporter in hand to make sure he's grabbing the cards he needs. And I think he's trying to decide maybe if he does want to play a switch card versus an Escape Rope here. Trying to decide what he wants to swing into with this Cramorant.
Taking a moment to decide, but it looks like we're going to see a Lost Vacuum on that Mesagoza. Just building up Mike's Lost Zone a little bit more here. Lost Zoning a card from his hand with that Lost Vacuum, and then he can send a Stadium or a Tool card in play to the Lost Zone.
Could be slightly annoying for John if he does not have the Lugia V-Star in hand.
I believe he does have the Lugia V-Star already in hand. I think we saw that last turn. But it might mean that he can't go find a Wugtrio, at least. And we see a Fog Crystal come down,
coming out.
Either going for that Sableye so that it doesn't get milled, or potentially an Energy. And it looks like Mike goes for the Energy.
It looks like, I believe he used a switch card on the first Comfey. So it looks like this may just be a hard retreat into the Cramorant.
Mike definitely has that energy to hard retreat if he wants. He's got at least 2 Escape Ropes I think I saw in hand. So a few options. But going into another Comfey, just continuing to build up that Lost Zone, but at the same time, turboing through your deck even more.
Yeah, every time he flower selectings, that's 2 less cards that John has to mill.
And the funny thing about that Melodic is with how big Mike's hand becomes, sometimes an Iono from John would actually help him out in making his deck larger, extend the game a little bit. But now he doesn't even have that to rely on. The cards that are in his hand, unless he plays an Iono of his own, they're always going to be in his hand.
Yeah, and you know that Milotic could also be a liability in another way, and in that if he burns through his Escape Ropes early and he only has switch cards left to swap between, that could get Boss stuck in the active and just allow for John to start milling more cards without worrying about getting return KO'd.
Yeah, absolutely. But ultimately, we do see Mike go with the Escape Rope play on this turn, bringing up one of those Wiglets from John's bench and KOing it with that Spit Innocently attack from Cramorant. So going over to John's turn, choosing to promote the Wiglet. So I imagine he's got the Wugtrio in hand, and there it is. Evolving that Wugtrio, already utilizing Lugia's V-Star power to bring those 2 Archeops from the discard pile onto his bench. That means that up to 4 special energies can be accelerated from John's deck per turn going forward in this game. And Mesagoza hitting another heads here. Mesagoza, powerful Stadium when you hit heads, but does nothing for you if you hit tails. And we've been seeing all heads tonight.
All heads so far. John may be looking to get another milling card set up. It looks like he's going to go for the Barboach.
And the Barboach makes sense. I'm excited to see this Whiscash come into play, see how much HP that has, and see how many cards John can start milling per turn. But we're going to see this first Primal Turbo on one of these Archeops, searching his deck for up to 2 special energy cards and attaching them to one of his Pokemon. I imagine we're going to see that Jet Energy and a Double Turbo probably come down onto this Wugtrio. Probably wants to save those reversal energies for that Whiscash.
And I totally forgot that the Whiscash, or not the Whiscash, the Wugtrio attacks for triple colorless. That's pretty insane.
Doesn't have to utilize the reversals on the Wugtrio, can just power them up with these colorless energy. And depending on how many heads John flips here, he's been flipping all heads so far tonight. We're going to see the top potentially 9 cards of Mike's deck get discarded here. And for those of you who don't know, there's a couple different strategies for winning in the Pokemon TCG. One of them is to take all 6 of your prize cards, but another way to win is if your opponent doesn't have any cards left in their deck to draw at the start of their turn, they lose.
That's a much less common route to victory. That's 1 heads for the mill.
All right, 1 tails. 2 heads, 6
cards off the top.
Switch
And
card.
those switch cards are Colress.
Heavy Ball, Ryan, Reversal, and
Ooh,
Sableye.
those are some big hits
Those are
for
some
sure.
good cards. If 6 of your cards are going to get discarded from your deck as a lost in deck, you're just praying the majority of them are VIP passes that you can't use anymore.
The Sableye going is definitely super important in this matchup. And yeah, Mike is in a really tough spot with being bench locked now.
The nice thing for him is if he can bump the stadium, I'm not sure if John has a way to find another mill Pokemon in his hand. And if that's the case, Mike might be saved for a couple of turns while John starts to look for more of these Wiglets, Wugtrios, Barboaches, Whiscashes, that sort of thing. But I imagine John doesn't want to waste a ton of energy attacking with like Archeops. If he's going to attack with anything, it's going to be that Lugia because it just needs 1 more double turbo energy to start attacking. And it's not really something that Mike can 1-hit KO. He can't even really 2-hit KO it unless he plays a Choice Belt in this list, which I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, and it looks like he was eyeing up a boss play. I'm not totally sure what he would boss here. I think you kind of just have to knock out the Wiglet, the Wugtrio here. It looks like that's what he's going to do.
That gift energy on the Wugtrio means that John can draw up to 7 cards in his hand after that Pokemon gets knocked out. So
He does hit the
he hits
Whiscash.
the Whiscash.
Oh, that's so busted.
And 2 jet energies. So, I mean, there's 1 reversal energy in John's prizes, so that's a saving grace for Mike. That means John can't put all 4 reversal energies onto the Whiscash this turn.
Hard to tell, but it looks like that Whiscash has 140 HP.
Yeah, I think it does. I'm going to look it up right now. But we're seeing 2 reversals come down from that first Primal Turbo.
The third reversal, as the 4th one's prized, it looks like we'll be seeing a 9-card turn.
And this Whiscash is from Obsidian Flames. It's got 140 HP, which means Mike has no way to 1-hit KO it on this next turn. And for every fighting energy attached to this Pokemon, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. And what these reversal energies are is on any evolution non-rule box Pokemon, if you're down on prizes, that's a triple rainbow energy, meaning it's any type of energy you want. So theoretically, John has 9 fighting energy on this Whiscash right now, meaning with this attack, he's going to discard the top 9 cards of Mike's deck. And because Mike has no way of 1-hit KOing it, he's going to do it again on the next turn.
18-card mill coming from the Whiscash. It's like John will be Ultra Balling, probably trying to set up his next Miller.
Yeah, and I
Won't be able to attack with the Whiscashes again once this one goes down.
He does have the Roseanne's backup to bring back a reversal energy.
That's so crazy.
But John, knowing that it's going to be difficult to get too many of these reversal energies back, just does go for that Wiglet. He's got the double turbo energies, the jet energies, the gift energies to power up that Wugtrio, if he can get another one into play. But probably John feeling very good knowing that this Whiscash is going to be in play for 2 turns here. And utilizing that attack, the Raging and Rocking attack from Whiscash, to discard the top 9 cards of Mike's deck. And that deck is getting thin. We do see that belt get discarded. Another Escape Rope, another Sableye, Jet Energy, and a Stadium. And that deck can't have more than like 10 cards left in it at most. I think John might just be winning on the next turn. 3 cards left in deck. There's no way for Mike to shuffle that deck, shuffle any cards back into that deck, aside from maybe a Super Rod could get 3 cards back in there. But that's not going to be enough. I think John just wins with the next rocking and rolling attack from Whiscash.
Yeah, all we're able to see here on this turn from Mike is just spit innocently for not enough damage. Mike eyeing up his hand, seeing if there's anything he could possibly do to extend this game, but it's not looking good. We see the Roxanne in hand, but the mill deck has not taken and will not be taking any prizes.
Yeah, and this is just a crazy game here. Definitely a really rough matchup for this Sablezard deck. Even if Mike had a way to get Sableye into play now, that Sableye's not doing anything to the Whiscash. It's going to leave that Whiscash in play. And even to get to 10 in the Lost Zone, you have to mill through your deck pretty well. Mike's not even at 10 in the Lost Zone yet. He's only at 9 right now. And his deck is almost gone.
It's like he's got a boss's orders in hand. Maybe he can, and there's just nothing he can even bench lock here.
He can boss up that Archeops, but John just has Jet Energy in hand to bring anything right back to the active spot that he wants.
See the Spit instantly come out for 120, and that should be the game. John should have this wrapped up with one more use of Whiscash's, what'd you call it?
Rocking and rolling.
Rocking and rolling.
John draws for turn, has those Jet Energy in hand, attached to the Whiscash, brings it up. All he has to do is announce rocking and rolling to discard the last cards in Mike's deck, and that is the game.
Wow.
I've never seen a mill deck win like that.
What a showcase. That looked very dominant for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And specifically against Lost Box, that's got to be a tough matchup. And to see 9 of your cards go to the Lost Zone, or go to the discard pile 2 turns in a row, there's not much you can do about that. That's nearly, I mean, that's more than a third of your deck after you set up for the game. And I'm not sure what you can do about that. Well played by Mike. Not much you can do against a deck that's just going to discard all your cards like that, and that against a deck that you don't really have any good way to one-shot larger HP Pokemon until they've taken prizes, and that deck's not going to take any prizes ideally. And well played by John. John, a really fun player here at our locals. Really great guy, always bringing the fun, interesting decks, and we finally got a chance to show him on stream here, and he wins with this mill deck. I know he's very fond of mill decks. He played just straight Wugtrio earlier this year. He was playing Pikachu v Union the other week, so working on some item lock, and now bringing this Lugia mill deck. Very cool to see.
Yeah, great to see. That was a very cool showcase of what Archeops can do in a non-traditional Lugia deck.
Yeah. Well, we'll be right back here with our winner's interview with John. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back to Tuesday Night League Night here at the Forge. Moving into round 2, we have Mike on the right with a pretty interesting Lost Box deck. I think he was telling you a little bit about it, Max.
Yeah, he's got the Palafin from Obsidian Flames that does 210 when it switches from your bench into the active spot. So
Yeah.
hits a big number on a 1 prizer for sure. Pretty interesting.
Absolutely. And then Sam on the other side playing Lost Zone Giratina. So 2 Lost Zone decks, but one of them pretty spicy, and we'll see how this matchup goes. But it looks like Mike has a very good start on the other side with a Battle VIP pass. You can't really ask for much more than maybe a second Battle VIP pass as a Lost Zone deck.
That's for sure. And, it'll be interesting to see which Palafin Mike is playing, because there's a couple. There's like a low HP one, like a 40 or 50 HP one that has the Ascension attack. And then there's the other one that has like 80 or 90 HP. So, against the Lost Zone deck, it's kind of risky to bench the lower HP ones.
Yeah.
But going first shouldn't have. Oh, he did not get any Palafins down or Finisons down.
And no switching cards either. So no cards in the Lost Zone for Mike on turn 1. And Sam here with a very strong start as well, starting comfy. Has that Giratina to bench down and has a Battle VIP pass. And when you see your opposing Lost Zone player not do much on their first turn, you feel pretty comfortable going into an Abyss Seeking on this turn to even build up your Lost Zone faster as well.
Yeah, definitely could go into an early Abyss Seeking. Also has the option of maybe going for like a rope cram play. Could be pretty strong as well. We'll see what she elects to do. Looks like she's eyeing up the Radiant Greninja and Comfy to take off of the VIP.
Just checking those prizes, checking to see what energy is a prize, but luckily for Sam, Nothing too crazy in the prizes. A boss's orders, but the deck usually plays 2 or 3. A Chorus, a Comfy, a Cramorant. Not sure if Sam plays 2 Cramorant. Some lists play 2, some lists play 1. So potentially, if she only plays the 1 Cramorant, not going to be able to get that turn 1 Spit Innocently off. But given that Mike had a slow start, that's probably not too big of a deal. And we see this concealed cards getting Sam a Water Energy and a Sableye. And
Gonna go into a flower selecting here. It's the choice between Sableye, Psychic Energy. Sableyes are pretty important in this matchup. Yeah. She knows that she doesn't have any Psychics prize, so I think going for the Sableye makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah, if you know no energy is prized, I think you're pretty comfortable lost zoning a couple, at the start, as long as they're differing, types of energy. We see this escape rope into Comfy for a second flower selecting. Looks like a Manaphy and a Water Energy, or a Chorus and a Water Energy.
It's the Chorus.
And the Chorus, definitely have to take that. So ditching another energy and a good amount of energy off of this Chorus.
Oh my gosh.
But that Path to the Peak not really doing much. That's an easy one to get rid of. And the Super Rod, tough to get rid of, but maybe you get rid of it over another one of those energy. You don't really want to go down 3 energy on that turn.
If you hadn't hit those other energies on those first flowers, would have made it a little harder to get rid of the Super Rod, maybe.
But off that Jet Energy, Sam could go into this Giratina V and do an Abyss Seeking. I think that's what we're going to see. Abyss Seeking, looking at the top 4 cards of your deck, put 2 into your hand, 2 into the Lost Zone, and a pretty easy decision here off of this Abyss Seeking. Probably going to see that Nest Ball and Comfy go into the Lost Zone, building it up to 6 on Sam's first turn.
Just mulling over what she wants to do here.
Might be considering taking another Comfy if she can get multiple flower selectings off on the next turn. It looks like ultimately she is leaning towards Lost Zone, that Nest Ball and Comfy, and that's what she goes for.
I think that was the right choice.
Yeah, absolutely. So we see Mike on the other side, drawn for turn, and using that first to flower selecting.
So going first in Lost Box, and when both players are playing Lost Box, can be a pretty big advantage, but Mike did not get much going on his first turn, so he will be playing catch-up for sure.
Yeah, I think the only thing that Mike can hope for is the fact that Sam is playing these 2 prizers like Giratina. He could have a bigger swing later in the game to take multiple prizes, where Sam, early in the game is probably going to be only taking 1 prize per turn until she starts spreading damage with Sableye, and potentially we see a Moonlight Shuriken play as well. Now, I'm not sure if Mike is also playing the Radiant Greninja, but I assume he has to be, since he's playing a lot of those water energies. It would make sense to do that. And neither of these players got Manaphy down turn 1, so Mike probably has to dig for that Manaphy this turn if he doesn't want to see 2 of his Comfies.
I believe he saw it off of the Chorus, so he's going to be able to bench that.
And does get the Cramorant, so if he's able to get one more flower selecting off and a switching card, he can at least set up some damage on this Giratina, or if he can rope, set up some damage maybe where it might be more meaningful on that Radiant Greninja, or taking a KO on one of those Comfy.
So he's going to hard retreat into the second Comfy here and go for another flower selecting. Looks like he hit a Chorus and another Cramorant.
I think we're going to have to see that Cramorant go to the Lost Zone here. But no Palafins yet down for Mike on his side of the board. I think I see a switch in that hand, potentially, unless that's a Super Rod. It's hard to...
I think it might be a Super Rod.
Okay, so no attack again here from Mike. So a little bit slower of a start on Mike's end. But Sam's hand is kind of in a weird spot. It's just full of energy, which is not where you want to be with Giratina. You want those in your deck so you can Mirage Gate them. But another way to get them back into your deck is to discard them with this concealed cards and then Super Rod them back. And Sam finds the Super Rod off of
the
that.
Concealed cards, very nice.
Switching cart going to bring that Comfy into the active spot, and we'll see a flower selecting, which will get Sam to 7 in the Lost Zone on this turn, and she hits the Chorus, but it's at the expense of potentially having to Lost Zone her Manaphy. But given that she's had such a good start here, and we haven't seen a Radiant Greninja come down on Mike's side of the board, I think she might even be safe to get rid of that Manaphy.
And looks like she'll agree with that, and she does Lost Zone the Manaphy. And with this, she's pretty close to getting to that 10 in Lost Zone for a Sableye play.
Yeah. She's going to be at 9 after this Colress. Even more energy coming off of that Colress. And I think it's probably an easy decision here. Potentially just get rid of that path to the peak. And I don't know, maybe that other Giratina V. Do you really need 2 Giratinas down against a Lost Box deck? Probably not. You're really looking to play more with those Sableyes and that Radiant Greninja more than you are with the Giratinas.
I think she plays that 3-3 line, so should have another V in the deck if it comes down to it.
But the real problem is all this energy in hand. Is she going to have enough in the deck when she decides to start Mirage Gating? I think she still has at least a Grass Energy and a Psychic Energy left in that deck, if not probably 1 Water Energy as well. So a good spread still probably left in there, given that she didn't prize any. But probably wants to see an Iono potentially pretty
Yeah.
soon.
And it's funny when Sam and I talk about this deck, she always complains that the one thing she hates is that she always ends up with all the energy in her hand.
And we see this Flower Selecting here, finding a Mirage Gate and an Escape Rope. And it looks to me like the Escape Rope might have to go here. She already has the Jet Energy to retreat out of this Comfy, so it doesn't really need that switching option. And you definitely want to conserve those Mirage Gates as much as possible. She also already has 2 in hand, so she probably could get rid of this one without it being too much of an impact.
Looks like she will get rid of the Escape Rope. And should be able to set up a Sableye play here.
So gonna have to Mirage Gate for it, but Sam has been counting her energy. She has 1 Psychic in hand, 1 Psychic in the Lost Zone, 1 Psychic in the discard. So there's got to probably be 1 left in the deck. So she's probably safe to Mirage Gate here, but she could potentially Super Rod first, given that she has those 2 energies in the discard pile just to be safe. But I think she is in a good position to Mirage Gate here.
We'll play the Mirage Gate here. Gonna grab... Looks like just a Water and a Psychic left in the deck, so those will...
Not a bad thing to see a Water and a Psychic here, though. You probably attach that Water Energy to the Greninja and that Psychic Energy to Sableye and start working towards that Moonlight Shuriken play, potentially. I would imagine either Sam will go for the Manaphy here or just one of those Comfies. The Sableye really isn't a threat. Mike's only at 4 in the Lost Zone, so that Sableye is pretty far away from having an impact on Sam's board. But she could take out the Manaphy here and then Moonlight Shuriken, that Sableye, and a Comfy on the next turn.
Alright, she's going to Lost Mine, take out the Manaphy here, trying to decide where to put the other 5.
Lost Mine, once pretty powerful attack when you have 10 in the Lost Zone, can spread 12 damage counters around your opponent's board in any way you like. And setting up those 2 damage counters on the Cramorant is impactful. That means the Moonlight Shuriken doing 90 will take a KO on that Cramorant next turn if Sam wants to. Setting up 3 on the Sableye means that another 12 on Sam's next Sableye can take out Mike's Sableye and a Comfy.
Alright. Going back over to Mike. And now at this point, is it too late to start getting some Finisons down? And like we were talking about earlier, if he does only play the Ascension Finison, it's going to be really tough to get those benched here.
Yeah, absolutely. If he's not playing the higher HP Finizen, I think Mike has to just lean into getting to Sableye as fast as possible. We'll probably see a Cramorant here on this turn to take out Sam's Sableye. And I think Mike's probably only hope is the fact that Sam was forced to Lost Zone her Manaphy last turn, which means that Mike's going to be able to Moonlight Shuriken as much as he wants to, as often as he can recycle that Greninja and find the Mirage Gates to do so. But this Colress will get Mike to 7 in the Lost Zone, which means that Mirage Gates are alive. And it looks like he's Lost Zoning that Finizen, and it is the 50 HP Finizen. So you're right, definitely not something that Mike wants to bench at this point anymore now that the Lost Mine is active.
And it looks like this is the first hint that Mike has been playing something out of the ordinary for a Lost Zone deck. So Sam reading that card. Don't know if she's seen what the Finizen and Palafin do.
Yeah. The interesting thing about the Palafin is if Mike had been able to establish it early, it has 150 HP, which is really an awkward amount of HP for Lost Zone decks to deal with. They usually are going to have to KO that with a two prize Pokemon, and when you're kind of in this one prizer battle in these Lost Box decks, you don't want to be the first one to bench down that two prizer. But it looks like Mike might play a mix of these Finizens. One of them was the Ascension, and this one's the 90 HP.
The 90 HP one, yeah.
So good for him that he plays both, because now he's able to bench one down, and that could come into play a little bit later in this game.
Yeah, and it looks like he's super rotting to get that Manaphy back. Probably we'll see a Nest Ball coming down. Yeah. Well played for Mike, protecting his bench a little bit longer, because otherwise we'd be seeing that Radiant Greninja easily taking out the Palafin here.
Yeah,
for the Finizen.
absolutely. Yeah, the tough thing though for Mike is with Sam setting up that damage on that Sableye last turn, she can just Lost Mine if she's able to find another Sableye to KO both Mike's Sableye and that Manaphy that he just brought back.
Yeah, I think the question may be, will Sam see taking out the Finizen as more? Will that be more of a priority for her, as maybe she doesn't know what the Palafin does?
Yeah, for sure. We see, I believe, a retreat out of that Comfey, go into the Cramorant and take this KO on Sam Sableye. Mike grabbing that Water Energy off of the prizes, and let's see what Sam can do. She has Psychic Energy Sableye already in hand, and an Iono could go find her a switching out as well. But I believe she already has a switch card in hand. So Sam is going to be able to Lost Mine again, just back to back on this turn. The question is, what else does she really need to do?
Doesn't look like she needs to do that much. Yeah, I think she's probably fine to just get another Lost Mine attack out, take out that Sableye. Take out the Manaphy, like you were saying, set up for possibly another Greninja play next turn.
Yeah. And she does have the V-Star in hand, so she could evolve into that V-Star, give that Giratina a little bit more HP, and have access to that Star Requiem attack to knock out that Palafin if it does come into play. Obviously, the Giratina could knock it out with Shred as well, but you probably want to have the higher HP of that V-Star in play. That's the funny thing when these Lost Zone decks play up against each other. Both players just have massive hands until later in the game when they start Roxanning and Ionoing each other.
I think, yeah, Sam just maybe deciding on if she wants to pre-set up anything else before she makes her attack with the Sableye.
Is that a Roxanne there by that Jet Energy in Sam's hand?
Yes, I believe she plays the 1-1 split of Roxanne and Iono. He's going to Super Rod.
That makes sense. Getting those energy back in the deck. She's got the Mirage Gates already in hand. Why not utilize them, start powering up these other attackers on her board, and then thinning that deck back out of those energies so that you're not drawing into them again off of a Comfey or a Colress.
Looks like she's eyeing up the Psychic and the Water to pre-set up this Greninja. So we'll likely be seeing the Manaphy go down again this turn, and probably hoping that Mike is unable to respond with another Super Rod Nest Ball play.
Sam in a really powerful position here. I didn't get a good look at Mike's hand, but he is going to be able to get to 10 in the Lost Zone, most likely himself, on that next turn. So going to be able to start swinging with his own Sableyes, but then you have to ask the question, is it too late? He's going to be down by 2 prizes, 5-3 after this Sableye from Sam if she KOs what we think she's going to KO with it. And it's going to put Mike in a tough position. But Sam, forced to Lost on that escape rope, had a boss's orders and an escape rope off of that flower selecting, choosing to hold on to that boss, and then switch carding into that Sableye. Going to spread 12 more damage counters across Mike's board.
It's like she will evolve into that Giratina V-Star, which gives it more HP to work with here. I'm not sure if Mike is playing like maybe the Hawlucha or anything to bring that 210 into a more useful 220 number.
Sam contemplating playing that Iono, and I think not a bad play for her. What it's really going to do is just send a bunch of energy to the bottom of her deck and draw her into 5 other cards. And good to play it now before she takes these 2 prizes on this turn, draws her into a higher hand size on this turn. It looks like we're just going to see this Lost Mine now here from the Sableye. Sam going to decide where to place those 12 damage counters.
Looks like we'll be taking out the Manaphy once again. Has 5 more to work with, so going to take the 2 prizes. Makes a lot of sense.
So Mike, in a tough position, has that Cramorant active, so he can take a KO on the Sableye, but really you want a Comfey active at the start of every one of your turns as Lost Box so that you can just continue to Flower Select, get pushed towards that 10 in the Lost Zone number that you want to get to. And I'm not sure what Mike drew into off of that Iono, but obviously drew to 5 cards as well, and we'll have to see if he drew into anything that can help him here. Definitely needs to find a Chorus, another Sableye, some Psychic Energies, and some switching cards, but that might be a lot to ask for off of an Iono to 5.
Yeah, and yeah, it always feels a little bad playing that switching card to move your Cram out of the active spot.
Yeah, but we see that Chorus does come down here from Mike. Gonna look at the top 5 cards of his deck, send 2 to the Lost Zone, put 3 into his hand. Just deciding what to grab here.
It's like he will be Lost Zoning a Psychic Energy here, along with an Escape Rope.
Mike going to 9 in the Lost Zone, but if he's not able to recycle this Manaphy, Sam's going to easily take 2 more prize cards with that Radiant Greninja on her next turn. You have to think he's looking to find a way to evolve that Finizen so it can't be hit by the Moonlight Shuriken. Find a way to get that Manaphy and find a way to get Sableye going, and it's just put in a tough position by that Iono and maybe not drawing into all those multiple cards that he needs to pull off that combination.
I wonder, what other damage fixing cards Mike might play. I know I've seen some Palafin decks running the Vengeful Punch to try to, take some KOs on stuff that might just be out of reach. We already have the Sableye in the deck, obviously, to clean up any KOs.
Yeah, Mike getting that evolution of the Palafin onto the Finizen. Going to be able to switch into a Comfey as well. And Flower Selecting, easy decision here, finds the VIP pass, and after the first turn of the game, those are the easiest things to just throw away.
Yeah, and we'll have to see if he's able to get into some kind of recovery card, Super Rod, or something.
Yeah. Looks like he has a Water Energy in hand, but that's not going to do much. The Palafin's attack is for 2 Water Energies. I don't think I saw a Mirage Gate in hand. So might just have to rely on this Cramorant potentially and a hard retreat out of this Comfey. He does have a Mirage Gate in hand, actually, it looks like. But do you really want a Mirage Gate for 1 on the Palafin and take a KO that way? I suppose you could, but
Yeah, I guess if you're not swinging with the Sableye here, I think you're not too upset to swing with the Cram, I suppose.
I think the real issue is just not getting that Manaphy back down. You're going down 2 more prizes on the next turn with that Radiant Greninja already having 2 Water Energy on it. So Mike having to think hard about this one.
I think, it looks like he is going to try to maybe dig for a couple more cards, see if he can make something better happen.
Throwing away another Palafin. And I think that was some sort of supporter card, potentially, that he saw off that Flower Selecting. Has the attachment for turn still to hard retreat out of this Comfey if he needs to. But again, all that means is that Sam's going down to 1 prize card remaining after this turn, given that Mike couldn't find that Manaphy, and forced to just take that knockout on the Sableye with the Spit innocently, and passing it back over to Sam. She's already got the energy in hand that she needs to finish powering up that Radiant Greninja. She's got the switch card, so going into this Manaphy for the start of the turn means going into this Comfey for the start of the turn means she's going to be able to Flower Selecting before, and she's got a Chorus as well, so everything lining up perfectly for Sam on this turn. Take 2 prizes and take a very dominating lead in this game.
Hits the jet energy. That's like pretty nice to hit. It
Yeah.
allows her to save her switch card for maybe next turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting rid of the VIP and the Giratina V-Star. I don't need any more Giratinas in this game. She does have a Nest Ball. Does she have another Sableye in deck, or are they both in her discard pile? I think they're both.
I
in her
do
discard
think they're
pile.
both in the discard.
So would need to. She has the Super Rod in hand though, and I believe a Nest Ball. So she could go get another Sableye and power that up for the last turn. So she could Greninja on this turn, and then have the Sableye ready to go on the following turn.
Yeah, that since she hit into the jet energy, does have the option of concealed cardsing away that grass energy. Looks like not a ton of cards left in deck. Getting to the bottom of it, which is definitely what you want to see.
I see that jet energy come onto the Radiant Greninja, boosting it into the active spot. This Moonlight Shuriken attack will do 90 damage to 2 of Mike's Pokemon.
Oh, and it looks like she does have the Nest Ball in hand, so could elect to Super Rod those Sableyes back if she wanted to get it set up for next turn.
Looks like she is eyeing up that Super Rod, so probably 2 Sableyes or 1 Sableye and 2 Energy going back into the deck. That's exactly what we see, 2 Psychic Energy and a Sableye. That Nest Ball going to come down, find that Sableye again, and then that Mirage Gate that's in hand can power it right back up.
Can also set an energy up onto either a Comfy as a pivot or onto the Giratina to give that the option of attacking for the last prize. But we'll just go ahead and Moonlight Shuriken.
So choosing to take out a Comfy and that Cramorant, given that it's the only attacker on Mike's board. Right now that's powered up. That makes sense. And so Mike's going to draw here for turn, promote that Comfy, and hope that he can find something. But with that Sableye on Sam's board, unless he's able to Iono her to 1, I don't think there's much that Mike can do.
Flower selecting and hoped it looks like he hit a Colress.
Horus and a Super Rod.
But if the supporter he plays for turn is not a hand disruption card, I think it will spell the end for Mike here.
Yeah, and just taking a moment to consider this, given that he only has 1 Comfy on board, he doesn't have a lot to draw. If he plays the Radiant Greninja, he never found it this game and can't draw more cards that way. Haven't seen any Pokegears to dig deeper for an Iono if he does play one. Definitely in a tough position.
Has the Ultra Ball to search something out here.
Ultra Ball discarding another Ultra Ball and one other card that looks like that Colress. Going to be able to search his deck for any Pokemon and put it into his hand. Finds that Radiant Greninja.
Finally
so
finds the Radiant Greninja. It was
a
hiding.
little bit more. It was concealing itself. Has a little bit more draw here with that Radiant Greninja. Going to be able to discard a energy from his hand if he wants to draw 2 cards. But it looks like we're going to see a Mirage Gate played to attach 2 energies to that Radiant Greninja. So Mike can actually take out the Comfy and the Sableye this turn, but like you said, if he doesn't pair it with some hand disruption, Sam's already got the Mirage Gate in hand to power up that Giratina V-Star to take the KO for game. Retreats into the Greninja, and
It will just be the Moonlight Shuriken.
Moonlight Shuriken taking a KO on that Sableye and that Comfy. Mike going down to 2 prize cards remaining. Looks like he's deciding what other Pokemon to do 92, but
Shouldn't matter too much. Will be the Comfy.
Sam with that draw for turn, draws in the grass energy, can attach it for turn to that Giratina, and we know that she super rotted back 2 psychic energies last turn, but just also has the boss for game with that Cramorant on the Comfey. So lots of ways to win this game for Sam, and she's going to take that final KO on that Comfey with Spit Innocently from Cramorant, and well played by Sam. Seeing the power of that Lost on Giratina deck, the ability to use that Abyss Seeking turn 1 to dig a little bit deeper into your deck, build that Lost Zone up faster, and get to Sableye just a turn ahead of your opponent is so powerful.
Yeah, has a lot of different attackers to work with. Sam was definitely out to a pretty good start, able to find a Battle VIP pass early and get into Abyss Seeking. Those Jet Energies are such a powerful tool in the deck to move your Pokemon around and still like pay for attack costs.
Yeah.
We saw it twice. We saw it with the Abyss Seeking early, and we saw it with the Moonlight Shuriken late.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll be right back here with our winner's interview with Sam. Stay tuned.
Whenever.
All right, Sam, congratulations on your win against the Lost Zone Palafin deck. I know you're still trying to like figure out all maybe the new decks that are coming into format. Was Palafin a card that you were familiar with?
No, not at all. I was confused. So when he dropped the first card, I don't know what the base or like the base
Finizen?
level. Yeah. When he dropped that into the Lost Zone, I was like, can I read that? Because I've never seen that before. So, luckily, I didn't really. It was a slow start for him, so I didn't really have to deal with it. If I had known what the HP was, I probably would have not evolved my Giratina and just shredded. And I don't know. It's nice to have that as an option. So
Sure, definitely. I think overall you played a really, really great game. You were able to effectively use your Jet Energies. Got that Abyss Seeking off early. I think you made a lot of great decisions in your Lost Zone. So what draws you to Lost Zone Giratina as a deck?
I think it's really fun. I think the V-Star power, especially, like, to just be able to automatically knock out a Pokemon is quite nice and can come in handy for a lot of matchups. But I also think the variety of attackers that you have in the deck is really fun. So, once you hit that number in the Lost Zone, all of a sudden Lost Mine is activated, and it can be really fun to attack things on the bench, and you don't have to worry about mana fee with Sableye too, so I really appreciate that as an attacker.
Nice, yeah. So what would you say to anyone who's thinking about maybe picking up Lost Zone Giratina as a deck? Is there any advice you'd give them?
Yeah, I think just practicing decision making. I think I tend to be a slow player, so that's like one thing that gets me with playing Lost Zone decks is just making the decisions quickly. So definitely if you decide to go with it, I would stick with it for a while before you decide you don't like it, because I switched and Lost Zone making decisions around that was definitely an adjustment, but I think now I'm getting the hang of it and it feels a lot better. So
Great. All right. Is there any shout outs you want to give?
Shout out to Max, for introducing me to the game. It's been really fun to grow. I think my skills over the last year and a half have been significantly changed and improved actually. So I don't think a year ago I could be playing a deck like that, but now I'm just winning matches, I guess. So yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks for the interview and congrats on the win.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back to Tuesday Night League Night here at the Forge. Moving into round 3, our third and final round. We have Adrian versus Henry for our round 3 match. Adrian on that new Charizard EX deck and Henry on Chien-Pao. So I think a pretty cool matchup and one I'm interested to see how it plays out. Normally you would see water versus fire and the water just got to be favored, but this Charizard EX is a Terra Charizard EX with that dark type, so not weak to water. So weakness really isn't going to play a factor into this game, although Adrian does play a couple fire Pokemon. He does, I believe, have the Entei V in there, that sort of thing, but I don't think it's going to factor too much into this matchup. It's just going to be about who can get those stage 2s into play first and get their deck rolling.
Yeah, I think it's, can be a little awkward for the Charizard at first because, the 180 isn't really doing enough to the Chien-Paos or anything. But it is a good number to hit Baxcaliburs, so, we'll have to see what line of play Adrian takes here.
Absolutely. We're seeing one mulligan here from Adrian, so just giving Henry that little bit of a boost with that hand size turn 1. But laying out the prize cards here, it looks like nothing too impactful prized for both players. We see 1 Irida and 2 Ionos, so a lot of supporters in Henry's prize cards, but he still has access to a lot of those Iridas, and that's what he's probably looking to play in the early turns. And nothing too bad on Adrian's side of the board except that 1 rare candy, but I assume he's probably got at least 3 more in that deck somewhere.
Yeah, and a great start for Henry right away. He has the Chien-Pao in the active, which is one of the best starters, gets a Frigibax and a Bidoof down, and has the Battle VIP to start setting up the rest of his bench.
Yeah, and a tough starter actually for Adrian in this matchup. Normally you want to see that NTV probably as a starter has that fleet-footed ability to draw you an extra card, but with just an attachment for turn here for Henry and an attachment for turn on his next turn, even if he doesn't get the Baxcalibur out with weakness, going to be able to take a KO on that NTV on his second turn.
Henry will elect to get a second Frigibax down in the Radiant Greninja. The Greninja and the B-Barrel are a great draw engine for this deck.
Yeah, and that Shivery Chill ability from this Chien-Pao, thinning out that deck a little bit of those energy cards. Going to go find those 2 water energy, 1 to use with that concealed cards, 1 to use for an attachment for turn.
And so a card that will definitely have to see Adrian get down on his next turn probably if he wants any shot in this game is that Manaphy with Wave Veil. Can be pretty tough to get anything going if your Charmanders get knocked out right away.
Yeah, and it looks like Adrian does have Nest Ball, so he can go get that Manaphy on this turn, but I didn't see any supporters in that hand. Going to have to rely on that fleet-footed ability to potentially draw into something on this turn, but
looks like he'll get the Bidoof with that Nest Ball, and you know, interestingly enough, that is not the Bidoof with the bench barrier.
Yeah, that's true. Another interesting thing, though, is we saw Henry choose to pass without utilizing that concealed cards ability, I believe. I don't think he discarded any of those water energies that he took off of that Shiver Chill, and didn't choose to attach any of them either, which is a little bit strange, I think, but he may just already have the Irida Baxcalibur play ready to go in hand. Doesn't have to worry too much about attaching energy, and seeing what he was up against, didn't really have to worry too much about a turn 1 attack coming down from Adrian either, and Adrian just has to pass here back to Henry, and we'll see what Henry's able to put together on this turn. Already
does have the Irida in hand. That's the perfect card to get this turn kicking off. We'll have to see, but he should have enough energy. And
he's doing both at the same time. So he's utilizing Shivery Chill plus the Irida at the same time just to save a little bit of time. So there's no confusion there. Going to get those 2 water energies with the Shivery Chill ability, and then the Baxcalibur and the Rare Candy with the Irida. And he definitely has, I think, off of the Shivery Chill last turn and the Shivery Chill this turn, I think he's probably got enough energy in that hand to retreat out.
That didn't get taken off of Shivery Chill in order to do that. And, you know, I think there's a lot of different ways you can go about, like, ordering your turn with Chien-Pao. I think, you know, if he's just really, if he has the 5th energy in hand, makes a lot of sense the way he did it, but sometimes it's better to concealed cards before you Irida, because maybe you draw into one of those pieces and you can Irida for something else.
But seeing, I think, just going after that Entei on this turn, saw that Adrian didn't do too much last turn, and maybe thinks, well, I'll get rid of that 1 draw piece that you already have on your board. Ultra Ball getting rid of that Super Rod, and Skater's Park on Henry's side of the field. Probably going to go find him that Barrel or potentially a Baxcalibur if he's got a second Rare Candy in hand.
I think it's an interesting choice to go after the Entei here. And, you know, also, but if that is what he decides that he wants to do, I think, you know, maybe over-attaching the energies a little bit.
Yeah, I think definitely that could be the case. I think he was more just trying to thin that hand down to utilize this barrel here and discarding all the energy. So maybe Henry didn't realize the weakness on that Entei means that he only had to discard 2 energy off that Chien-Pao, but ultimately deciding to do 480 damage against
a lot of damage.
Entei. But it does, I guess, get 4 energy into that discard pile if he's got a superior energy retrieval, can utilize that to its maximum power. But Adrian showing drew into that Battle VIP pass for this turn, something he wanted last turn. And we're going to see this boss KO on the Charmander most likely after this Shivery Chill. And Henry not really looking too eager to go after that concealed or that Moonlight Shuriken play to take out the two Charmanders. Just content to continue attacking with this Hailblade from Chien Pao.
I think it's an interesting choice to just keep swinging this Chien Pao, but only has to discard one energy this time. Take the knockout.
Thing is, if Adrian ever is able to just draw into an Ultra Ball or a Charizard, he has the rare candy already in hand, and might put Henry into an awkward position given that Henry has chosen not to go for this Moonlight Shuriken play. That means that Adrian's Charizard is now doing a ton of damage, and Henry only has that one Chien Pao on board, and it's the only thing that can one-shot a Charizard EX. And if a Charizard EX comes down this turn and takes a knockout on that Chien Pao, Henry doesn't have a wonderful way to respond, really.
Yeah, I think Adrian's hand's still pretty dead. He electing to play that Super Rod to put a Charmander and a couple extra energies back into the deck. He's trying to thin his hand down to maybe draw some cards off of Industrious Incisors. Looks like he'll be able to grab 3 off the Incisors.
We see an Iono, so it does have Draw Supporter, another Charmander, and that Magma Basin. Going to be able to attach some energies from that discard pile. We're going to see an Iono to 6 and Henry's hand going down to 3. I think that's a very strong Iono there from Adrian, but doesn't impact Henry too much. He's got the concealed cards. He's got the barrel to draw back up, but certainly still good to disrupt his hand there after taking all those prize cards and building it over the course of the last few turns.
And I think if Adrian's able to draw into the rare candy Charizard here, he will be able to get an attack off. Did get the attachment for turn onto that Charmander, so we'll be able to attach 1 to the bench Charmander and 2 to the barrel to retreat. But it doesn't look like he maybe got there.
Yeah, I'm seeing energies, Battle VIP passes, kind of all those cards that you want to see in the early game. Not those cards that he needs to see now, but Ultra Ball, getting rid of that Pokemon Go Charizard. I think that's probably going to go find him. Maybe the Manaphy now finally here, or just that Charizard EX if he already has a rare candy in hand.
So he is going to go for the Radiant Charizard. And with an attachment for turn and a Magma Basin, he is able to attack with that this turn.
The other question is, can he get the barrel out of the active spot? That Radiant Charizard coming down. Going to utilize that Magma Basin.
I think he shuffled the rest of the energies with the Super Rod back in.
So no energies to use for that Magma Basin to power up any attackers on the board. And I think we're just going to see a pass back to Henry. And at this point, you kind of have to think that Henry's just in way too far ahead to be losing this game. And with that superior energy retrieval found off of that Iono to 3, going to be able to get 4 of those energies back from the discard pile. Attach them to his Pokemon in any way he likes, given that he has that Baxcalibur in play. And finally, choosing to retreat out of that Chien Pao, going for this Moonlight Shuriken play that we've been waiting to see all game. And you kind of have to think that he's going to go after both of those Charmanders.
Able to draw 4 off the Industrious Incisors. That superior energy, attaching all the energy and then hitting the Industrious Incisors is a very powerful play to keep the hand being cycled. Will Moonlight Shuriken the 2 bench Charmanders.
Well, Charizard EX is doing a lot of damage now, but no way to get one in play. And Adrian does find that Professor's Research, though. He's going to have an attacker here in this Radiant Charizard if he can switch that barrel out of the active spot. But it doesn't look like he draws into the cards he needs to off of that Research to retreat out of that barrel. And even if he did, that Chien Pao is just waiting on the bench to hit that Radiant Charizard for weakness for that last prize that Henry needs.
Yeah, it's looking like the end is near for Adrian. Gonna see if there's anything he can do to extend this game a little bit more. Gonna grab the the Skwovet, the Nest Stash Skwovet.
I just have to say that I'm kind of offended by this Skwovet. You know, Henry can play all of these gold secret rare energies, or sorry, Adrian can play all of these gold secret rare energies, but he can't play that cute little Skwovet on a couch. That
Chilling on the
special
couch?
art. Man, that feels bad.
That feels bad. Poor Skwovet.
But utilizing that Nest Stash ability to put his hand onto the bottom of his deck, draw one card, and then use that Industrious Incisors to draw back up to 5. Finds another barrel, finds a boss's orders, potentially could stall on like Baxcalibur or something. But did he use a supporter already this turn? I think he might have researched already this turn.
He did research this turn, I believe. So he's just gonna Ultra Ball and try to get something going. I don't know. He looks. Grab a Charmander.
Yeah, I think, you know, playing out the game as he should and getting this Charmander down has the potential to find the Charizard EX rare candy combination on the next turn. But really all Henry has to do on his next turn is retreat out of that Greninja and attack with that Chien-Pao, and that's going to be game. But we see this Industrious Incisors find that Charizard EX finally, and a rare candy. So Adrian has that in hand ready to go, showing it off, but can't use it this turn, can't evolve a Pokemon that came into play on the same turn. So just having to pass over back to Henry, and Henry's just going to retreat out of that Radiant Greninja back into the Chien-Pao EX, and Hailblade going to do 120 damage to this barrel, but just making sure, got to use that Shivery Chill.
Gotta use the Shivery Chill, make it the most powerful attack onto the B-Barrel that he can. And the Chien-Pao deck looking pretty good here. You know, there's a lot of different ways to play it. Do you play with the Arc? Do you play with the Palk? Do you play with the B-Barrel engine? The B-Barrel definitely putting in work in this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this Chien-Pao deck looking unstoppable in the face of this Charizard, and playing the superior energy retrieval to power it up
Stop,
even
he's
more.
already dead.
He's done, 420 damage onto that barrel to take the game with that Chien-Pao EX deck, and well played by both players. Tough start for Adrian. There's not a lot going on in that opening hand. I think if he'd seen those researches, Ionos that he saw in turns like 3 and 4, in those opening turns, he definitely could have made something happen, but just started a little bit too little too late.
Too little too late.
Yeah. Well played by Henry. We'll get him back here for a winner's interview shortly. Stay tuned.